and sharing the screen. And okay, I am going to be a bad person because if I remember correctly, last class we left off in the middle of the mortgage problem. And so
Yeah.
I am going to recycle last class notes and just add today as a date to the top and carry on from where we left off. None of the due dates have changed. Let's walk through them just to make sure that it's, is it like the senile old person in me that thinks maybe if I say the same thing every day, it'll stick. The final exam is going to be on Wednesday, the 16th. It will be open only from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you cannot make it, you must contact me before then and we'll make other arrangements. Test 4 is going to be due on Friday by 11:59 p.m. Today we'll be finishing the last of that content. Wednesday we'll go over a practice test, and this time it's uploaded in Blackboard. This time I was lazy, and instead of uploading the practice test, I uploaded the pencil and paper test that I had given in a preceding semester, so you get an idea. We talked homework 27 is extra credit. We talked all of the other homeworks, forget what the due dates are, get them done as soon as possible because you're going to see them on that test that needs to be completed by Friday. 12.4 is all compound interest, 12.7 is all annuity, 12.5 is car loans, 12.6 is mortgages. So these are car loans and these are mortgages. Before we get started, I'm going to real quick walk you through project 4, which will be due on Monday, the 14th, because I promised I'd give you guys a week for projects. Last day that you can do any of the assignments in my math lab is Sunday, the 13th. After that, any missing assignment will be replaced with a 0. Again, work on those back assignments. Even though there's a late penalty, it's better than a 0. And even if my labs only doesn't give you any credit because it's so late, I promise after the 14th, I will go in and anything that's marked late, I will give you at least half credit on. I know a couple of people had sent me emails with extenuating circumstances. I haven't gotten a chance to correct for those yet, but I will. Again, anything is better than a 0 and the practice will help. So, going on into Blackboard, let's go to your class and not this other one. In Blackboard, in content, projects, project 4 is on mortgages. It's due the 14th. What you're going to do, oh, I hate it when this one opens Word documents at the bottom like that, is you're going to, from a newspaper real estate section or a magazine or an online site, you're going to find a house that's for sale that you want to buy. I want you to include a picture of the house, a picture of the listing, because it's fun to see what type of houses you guys like. Then you're going to go to this link. It's a credit, I'm sorry, it's not showing up as a link, so I'm going to have to cut and paste. Credit union in Niagara County, and it will give you current mortgage rates for the area right now. Again, they change on a daily basis. So for a 30-year mortgage for today, it would be 3%. For a 15-year mortgage, it would be 2.65%. So you're going to get your mortgage rates there. And if you notice, these loans all say 0 points. And so on the project, you will be not including any points.
Oh, yeah.
20% down payment and monthly payments. So I want you to find the down payment amount the monthly amount. And then you're going to find the mortgage payments using the in-class formula, not what you get from Zillow or someplace else. The amount of the monthly payments, the total of the payments, the total of the interest. And then you're going to write a paragraph comparing the two mortgages. Okay? Shouldn't take you much longer than a single homework question, except add to it the amount of time it takes to find a house that you think you'd want to buy, which hopefully that's the fun part, right? Scrolling through and looking at houses. Does anybody else regularly play the Zillow game just to see what houses are for sale? Watch any of those HGTV home buying television shows? So hopefully that's the fun part, but it also hopefully gives you an idea as to how this stuff really does apply to your day-to-day, will apply, maybe not right now, but in the future will apply to your day-to-day life. Questions on the project? After you do all of that, what you're going to do is you are going to, let me exit out of here. Let me go back here. You're going to submit your work in this Dropbox by the end of the day on the 14th. Also, I think I've said this every time for about the past 3 months. If you're using an iPhone, you must first download the Blackboard app for the iPhone. You can't just use the online Blackboard with an iPhone. You have to use the Blackboard app. Those are the ones that I cannot access. People who use an iPhone and don't use an app. So questions on the project. Then the other thing here in content, if you're interested, the tests and quizzes are in here. And over here in this folder handout, there is that formula sheet that I showed you. There is a practice test 4. And in terms of practicing for the final, I'm not being patient and waiting for that to come up. In terms of practicing for the final, and here you will find the practice for test 4, test 2, test 1, and test 3. And so the final is made up of old test questions, give or take. And so if you go over those practice tests from the past, you will be well prepared for the final.
Okay.
On Friday and Monday, I have those set aside as days with nothing I personally have planned to do. You can go over whatever you want in terms of reviewing for the final. So start looking at this test. Also, I think I made it so that you can access those back tests in my math lab. We can also go over questions from. I will leave it up to you guys. Think about it. Do you want to review both Friday and Monday? Or do you want to just review on Monday and leave Friday as an extra hour for you in case you need the time to take that test? If you want to take that test during class time, you can. So remind me on Wednesday that I'm going to ask you guys again, do you want to meet on Friday and do more review? Do you want to use that class time on Friday to take that test that's due Friday? Or if people want to shake it up and some people want to review and some people want to take the test, we can do it that way also. All right. Next,
Okay.
what I did not pre-open was my, and in my labs, let me go to the course home. Does anybody want to look at any of the homework questions?
Homework 24, question 1 and question 10.
Okay. And while I'm waiting for that to happen, I am going to open up this formula sheet that we have it to work from for the rest of the day. So homework 24, questions 1 and 10, did you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm waiting. This is what happens when I ask the computer to do two things at once.
The quizzes on Blackboard aren't open.
They're not?
No,
How
on the
about
math labs rather.
The tests are? Oh, they
The
won't,
test,
tests won't be open. The way you can review them is go into the My Lab gradebook.
okay,
My Lab gradebook. While we're doing this, if you want to, I'd appreciate it if you look. If you click on the test, you should be able to look at it and review it.
oh, okay, I'll look right now.
Okay. That's what happens, Rachel, when I multitask. I clicked on the wrong button. Sorry about that. Honey. So.
Yes, you can review them.
Okay. All right. So that would be the way to look at those back tests. And you can't see where I gave you partial credit, but you can see if I gave you partial credit.
Okay.
Okay. So. Question number 1 asks nothing. It's a blank sheet. Oh, wait a minute. Here it comes. On November 1st, you decide that in exactly 2 years, you'll take a cruise that costs $11,211. How much should you deposit each month into your vacation fund in order to have $11,211 in 2 years to pay for the trip? Assume an annual interest rate of 1.3 compounded monthly. Assume that the deposits are made at the end of each compound period. Well, if the deposits are made at the end of each compound period, what that tells me is that I'm going to use my annuity formula. In this annuity, I know what I want in the future. That's the A. I know my rate is 0.013. I know that I'm taking 2 years and hello, sorry about that. I know that I'm going to be making my payments monthly, so that's 12 times a year. So if I go back, the formula for an annuity, we have 2. And we're going to use the one where we know A and we're looking for P. So we're going to use this formula here, which is P equals A times R over N over parentheses, 1 plus R over N, close to the NT, take away 1. And I'm sorry, I know that looks ugly, but hopefully I can go back to that question we were working on. Oh, wait, I don't want the course roster. I want the assignment manager. I lost it. How did that happen? I must have clicked on something I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. And in an ideal world, the same problem will pop up with A being right there. I have a funny feeling, though, that when I lost the problem, oh, no. Oh, my God. Did you guys see that?
What?
When I reopened it, the numbers stayed the same. They didn't change.
Oh.
And so, Rachel, are you okay from here plugging these values in and working it out?
Yeah.
Did I answer the question that you had? Do you need to
Yeah.
finish it together, or are you fine now, honey?
Yeah, I can work from here.
Okay. So are you all right with how we decided that it was going to be, I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask and I shouldn't. It's going to be annuity because we're making those monthly payments into a compound account. Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions on this one?
Is n constant or
What tells me that N is 12 is over here, it says monthly.
okay, month. Okay. Got it.
Okay, we'll go over the definitions of N when we get back to the note page. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm gonna clear this. And then the other one was question number 10.
Yes.
Suppose that between the ages of 22 and 30, you contribute $2,000 a year into a 401k, and your employer contributes $1,000 per year on your behalf. The interest rate is 7.9% compounded annually. What's the value after 8 years? And so again, contributions are being made annually. So we're going to be using the annuity. This time, we know the contribution. I'm putting in $2,000. My boss is putting in $1,000. So altogether, we're putting in $3,000. Since it's per year, N is 1, it only happens once a year. The rate is 0.079. And the time is 8 years. And so we're going to use that annuity formula, which is A equals P times parentheses, 1 plus R over N, close to the NT minus 1, close over R over N, and substitute those values in for part A. And then for part B, it says, suppose that after 8 years of working, you move on to a new job, but you keep that retirement funds in the 401k. How much will you have in the plan when you reach age 65? Now over here, because we're not working for them anymore, we're not going to make any more contributions. And so this time, we're going to use just the compound interest formula. A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT, where P is the answer from the preceding question. The rate is still the 0.013. We're still doing it annually, so N is 1. And the time, let's see, from the age of 30 to the age of 65, it would be an extra 35 years. That part all right.
Okay.
And then the third part says, what's the difference between the amount of money you've accumulated and the amount you contributed? Well, for the amount you contributed, what you're contributing is $2,000 a year for 8 years. So your contribution is $2,000. So that's what you'd have to subtract from that value. Better, hon?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions on this one? If not, I'm going to clear this screen. Any other questions on any other homework? What makes the homework nice? I was surprised, not from this section, but from the other section. I got about 8 emails from a student at 4 o'clock this morning. She didn't wake me. I didn't see him until I got up at like 6:30 and started looking. And with each one, she was trying to use a different formula. And with the homework, they're grouped. They're grouped so that one page, it's all simple interest. One page, it's all compound interest. One page, it's all annuity. And so it makes the homework easier. That's though where the test becomes a little bit more challenging. You need to look at those questions and say, is the word simple interest there? Is the word compound there? Is it an annuity? Is it fixed payment loan? you have to really look at those words and decide, do I know present value or future value? Because otherwise, I think this whole chapter is really, once you pick the formula, figure out what the variables are, it's just plug and chug math. Where it takes a little bit of thought is deciding what formula to use. So I don't want that. I apologize. I want this. And so I think I just promised that when we got back to the notes, I would define what each of those compound period words told us. And so if I'm looking at anything that's compounded, if it's annually, that means we're doing it once a year and is one. If it's semi-annually, it means we're doing it twice a year. If it's quarterly, it means we're doing it 4 times a year, so N is 4. If it's monthly, we're doing it every month, N is 12. If it's daily, contrary to the fact that everybody learned throughout their lives that every year is 365 days except for a leap year that has 366. Mr. Fletcher and his infinite wisdom, and also a lot of bankers, it's called that bank machine. And then the one exception to the rule is if I compound continuously. And also I was surprised, somebody in the other section again was struggling with that constant E. Only time you're going to use that constant E is if we're compounding continuously. So compounding continuously, we'll use that E equals 2 times R. So Rachel, was that what you were asking about when, how did I decide what N is? Those are things that you guys need to know.
No, I'm okay with these ones.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Then let's go back to where we left off. Unless, I apologize, I'm being a jerk. Sometimes I get on a roll like a train and I just keep on going. I need to stop and say, is everybody all right with this? Does anybody have any more questions before we pick up from where we left off? Okay, last couple of people who entered class, I have to apologize. I have not had time to add you to attendance, so make sure you stick around to the end of class so I add you for attendance purposes. We were talking about last class mortgages, and we said a mortgage is a loan to purchase property. It's the same formula as an installment with fixed payments. And so we said that the payment is equal to P times R over N, close over parentheses 1 minus parentheses 1 plus R over N, close to the negative NT, where P is the mortgage amount, the original amount of money that you buy. Realize that it's the mortgage amount, not the purchase price, the mortgage amount. R is the rate, rest as a decimal. P is the time in years. N is the number of payments in 1 year. And I think last class we talked about the idea that with mortgages, traditionally they are monthly payments. So with mortgages, traditionally, N is equal to 12. There are some lending agencies out there where they have you make it twice a month, different variations like that. Bi-weekly payments where you make 26 payments in a year. We're not going to worry about that. With mortgages, we're going to focus on monthly payments. So we decided that we wanted to buy a house for $100,000. We talked about last class the need for a down payment. Does everybody remember that discussion?
Yeah.
So we're going to pay 20% down. So before we can start the process of getting this mortgage, we need to be able to say we've got $20,000 to give the home buyer. They keep that money. Even if we back out of the deal, unless we back out of a deal for some wording that's in the contract, like if there's a major flaw with the house that they were hiding from us, then we'd be able to back out of the deal. But if it's just all of a sudden, oops, changed my mind, there's a good chance they're going to have to keep that money. So you've got to really be serious when you go into this. So the amount that we're going to borrow, the mortgage amount, is equal to the price minus the down payment. So while the house costs $100,000, our mortgage amount is only going to be $80,000. That's all we're going to borrow. Now, another thing that Mr. Blitzer talks about, again, in the project, it said there were 0 points. But in the My Math Lab homework, you're going to see something that's called points. And basically, a point is another way of the bank making money off of you. A point is a fee paid to the lender, lending institution. Usually it's a bank, sometimes it's a credit union, sometimes it's a mortgage company. A point is 1% of the mortgage amount. A million years ago, when my husband and I bought our first house, every mortgage you had to pay points on. It was just an extra fee that the bank got from you. A couple of years ago, when my daughter bought her first home, you can get a mortgage without points. But sometimes if you pay points, you can get a lower interest rate. And so it's kind of like buying down the interest rate. And you have to figure out in the long term which saves you more money, paying the points up front to get the lower interest rate, or not paying the points and paying the slightly higher interest rate. So a point is 1% of the interest rate. So in our example, not of the interest rate, I'm sorry, of the mortgage amount. We're buying a $100,000 house. We're putting a down payment of $20,000. So our mortgage is $80,000. And let's say that the lender charges us 1.5 points. That means that we have to pay a fee of 1.5% of the mortgage. And now this, guys, this is just not even interest. This is just our basic percent problem. So that's 0.015 times our 80,000.
Oh,
And so when you multiply that out, what do you get? Anybody got it multiplied for us?
1,200?
$1,200. That is a fee you pay. When you go to the closing, you have to have a cashier check. They don't want a personal check. They don't trust you with a personal check. You have to have a bank check to cover all of these fees. And so that check would have to include that extra $1,200 to the lender. It's just another way for them to make money off of it. It's a fee they charge. It has nothing to do with the mortgage, other than they're not going to give you the mortgage unless you pay them that money up front. Next, let's look at the payments. And for the payments, we're going to use that fixed loan payment formula. Payment equals the principal times R over N over parentheses 1 minus parentheses 1 plus r over n, close parentheses to the negative nt, close. But let's say the bank gives us two options. Just like when we bought the car, we looked at two options. Let's say the bank gives us two options. One is a 30-year mortgage with 4.32% compounded monthly. And the other is a 15-year mortgage with 4.32% compounded monthly. I have to apologize, I'm being a jerk and recycling an example that I did in the previous semester. I think it was last fall with my on-campus class then. I'm using it because this way I've got the already. And that 4.32%, it sounds weird, but that was what the mortgage rate was a year ago when I did this problem with my classes. You can see mortgage rates fluctuate a lot. What did we just see? That credit union had a rate of 3%. Mortgage rates have gone down. For each of these, the principal is what we're borrowing, so it's $80,000. For each of these, the number of payments in a month is 12. For the first one, my rate is 4.32%. So as a decimal, it's 0.0432. On that simple interest quiz, there were not a lot of people who forgot to change their percent to a decimal. So yay, you guys. There were a lot of people, though, that forgot to turn months into years. Be careful. With these, I think the hardest part is reading carefully. And with this one, my time is 30 years. So we said we wanted to multiply NT out. NT would be 30 times 12. We're going to be making 360 payments. And so I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit so I can keep the formula on the page and write. Is everybody here, or do I need to shut up for a minute and wait? So the payment is equal to P. And again, is everybody all right with why we're using the 80,000 and not the 100,000? R is 0.0432 over N is 12 over parentheses 1 minus parentheses 1 plus at 0.0432 over 12, close parentheses. Again, I think we said this repeatedly when we were looking at the car loans. Remember that next exponent is negative. And one multiplied, I got 360. And then I'm going to close. So now I'm going to shut up. And let's round up to the nearest dollar. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm looking. But does around $400 a month sound like a mortgage payment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Distracted with was my husband and I, the first house that we bought for $75,000. It was a long time ago. And at that point in time, the interest rates were closer to 15%. And with a 15% interest rate, our payments were closer to $1,000 than they were to 400. So the difference in interest rates is like amazing, right? Let's find the payments for the 15-year mortgage. The 15-year mortgage, the rate I think was still the 0.0432, but the time is 15 years. And so I'm gonna only be paying this off for 15 years. When I take N times T, I'm gonna take 15 times 12. And so that means that I'm only gonna be making 180 payments.
Mhm.
And so now when we fill in, we get 80,000 times the 0.0432 over 12 over parentheses 1 minus parentheses 1 plus 0.0432 over 12. And this time we're only raising it to the negative 180th power. Again, we're going to round up to the nearest dollar. And so, ooh. Rounding. This time, what are you folks getting for your payments?
605.
Okay, so guys, what would you rather pay a month? Around $400 or around $600?
400.
400.
But let's look at long
Oh,
term.
right, wait.
600.
Let's find the total of the payment. The total of the payments is going to be your payment times NT. So we're paying that first mortgage $397, 360 times. And so when I take that 397 times 360, ouch. I am paying the bank $142,920. If I look at the total interest, I'm paying $142,920. They gave me $80,000. And so we're giving the bank an extra $62,292. Hello, I just wrote that totally wrong. I'm sorry. That first number I wrote wrong. $62,920. Wow. What could you do with $62,000? Pay interest to the bank. Let's look at the second one. The second one, we're paying $605, but we're making 180 payments. So if I take that 605 times that 180, I'm paying a total of $108,900. And so if I take that $108,900 and subtract the 80,000 that they gave me, the interest is 20,000. Hello. It would help if I actually did the subtraction and didn't just, oh dear, $28,900.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's about the points. The points are paid once
Yep.
or are they paid every month?
They're paid once, one shot.
Oh, okay. That's a closing fee.
Yeah, it's part of the closing fees. And you don't have
Okay.
to, some mortgages come with them, some don't.
Okay.
But the points really piss me off. Let me get up on my high horses. The bank is taking $60,000 off of us, almost $63,000, right? Why do they need an extra $1,000 at the beginning of this process? Like
Right.
the $62,900 they're making off of me, they need an extra $1,200 to process the paperwork? To me, that seems a little odd. But don't get me started. The difference is, you're at their command. If you want that house, you've got to, hopefully your realtor directs you towards a reliable mortgage agent. And, I mean, you don't have too many options other than to go look for a different bank. But usually those mortgage companies shop around for different banks for you. But do you notice that there's a significant difference? There's like well over $30,000 that you would save if you took the higher payments. So again, we talked about this with the car loan, didn't we? Sometimes you just don't qualify for that $600 a month. So what you do is when you can, you send more money. You, if your mortgage payments, let's say we went with this lower dollar amount for 30 years. Let's say you get a new job and all of a sudden you're making like, an extra $500 a month. Put an extra $250 towards the mortgage. You'll end up paying it off in almost 15 years anyways. My cousin's husband hates owing anybody money. They bought their house and they, at that point in time, I think all they gave out were 30-year mortgages. He sent extra money every month and he paid off his house in 10 years. And you notice the difference in the time, how much money that would save you long term. So last thing that we only have 5 minutes for, so I don't think any of the homework asks you to do an amortization schedule. What an amortization schedule does, it's the table that for every payment, shows the payment amount, the amount that's interest, the amount that's principal, and the balance you owe. The interest amount because it's done monthly, we're going to treat it as simple interest. Which is I equals PRT. P will be the balance that you owe. R rate is a decimal. And because we're doing it every month, time is going to be 1 month, which is 1/12 of a year. So I'd like to recycle what we did. In our example, let's say we've got that $80,000 mortgage. Our payments are let's use the $397. And our rate is the 0.0432. So in our table, we'll have the payment number, the interest, the principal, and then the balance of. For payment one, interest is TRP, which is the 80,000 times the 0.0432 times 112. Is $288. The first payment, $288 is interest. We're paying $397. When I subtract the 288, $109 is principal. And so after the first payment, I own $109 worth of that house. And for the balance that I owe, I'm going to take that 80,000 minus that 109, and I owe $79,891.
Can you go up?
My second payment, my interest is going to be that number times the 0.0432. I'm sorry, that should be 112, not 1/2, times the 112. And so this time it's $287.61 in interest. And so the principal is going to be the 397 minus that amount, or $109.39. And at that point, I just want to, well, no, so the balance owed when I subtract that would be 79,781.61. I want to stop there. I just wanted to do two payments to let you see. You notice with each payment, the amount of interest is getting smaller and the amount that goes towards the house is getting bigger. The first couple years, almost all of your payment is interest. And the amount that you owe goes down slowly. As the amount that you owe goes down, though, the amount of interest goes down. And so this is why if you can prepay, do you see how if I would have, instead of sending in the $397, if I would have sent in a couple $100 extra, that extra goes right towards the balance owed, right towards the principal. And so that's how you can pay off your loan more quickly and pay less interest. Now, will I ask you to do this work? No, I don't think I put any of these in the homework. I just wanted to go through one example to give you guys an idea as to how each payment, the amount of interest goes down, the amount that goes towards what you're borrowing goes up. And if you can send some extra money in, the balance goes down much more quickly and it saves you a lot of money. All right. I know I did that fast, but again, I'm not going to ask you to replicate that work. I just want you to kind of understand how your mortgage payments, part of it goes to interest, part of it goes to what you owe. If you can send some extra money along, that extra money always goes to what you owe, and it lets you pay it off more quickly. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So Gonna stop sharing because it's about, oh, it's past that time. I'm sorry. Yesterday I know that two people came in late and I have to apologize. Omaru, I know you did, and I had thought that somebody else came in late.
I did.
Peter, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Peter, I didn't, I let you in, and by the time I clicked that I let you in, because I was in the middle of a sentence for the class, I was like, oh no, who was it that I just let in?
Oh, it's fun.
So we got you now.
Cool.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I'm good for now.
Try to get that homework done before it's due, because you're going to see that material on the test. Try to go through that antique test and practice before next class. That's all we're doing next
All
class.
right.
Okay, have a great one.
You
Bye-bye.
too. All right, bye-bye.
Taylor, are you there? Okay, Taylor, I'm going to end class.